We live in a digital age. Smartphones, computers, and televisions have become essential parts of our lives. This technology connects us to the world and makes our lives easier. However, there is a dark side to this digital revolution: electronic waste, or e-waste. E-waste refers to discarded electronic devices. This includes everything from old cell phones and laptops to refrigerators and televisions. The rapid pace of technological advancement means that devices become obsolete quickly. As a result, we are producing e-waste at an alarming rate. The way we dispose of these electronics has significant consequences. Unfortunately, many electronics end up in landfills or are shipped to developing countries. This has devastating effects on both human health and the environment. It is crucial that we understand the hidden dangers of e-waste and take responsibility for our consumption habits. By learning about the problem and taking action, we can mitigate the risks and work towards a more sustainable future. E-waste is a complex problem with far-reaching consequences. Let's define some key terms to better understand the issue. E-waste: discarded electronic devices such as computers, smartphones, televisions, and refrigerators. Toxic chemicals: hazardous substances found in electronic devices, including lead, mercury, cadmium, and brominated flame retardants. Overseas dumping: the practice of exporting e-waste to developing countries with less stringent environmental regulations. The global generation of e-waste is increasing at an alarming rate. The United Nations estimates that over 50 million tons of e-waste are generated worldwide each year. This number is expected to rise significantly in the coming years as more people gain access to technology. The toxic chemicals present in e-waste pose a serious threat to human health and the environment. When not handled or disposed of properly, these toxins can leach into the soil and water, contaminating food sources and posing risks to human health. Many electronic devices contain toxic substances that can be harmful if not handled properly. These substances can leach into the environment and contaminate soil, water, and air. This contamination can have devastating effects on human health. For example, lead is a neurotoxin that can cause developmental problems in children. Mercury, another common heavy metal found in electronics, can damage the nervous system, kidneys, and brain. Exposure to these toxins can occur through direct contact with e-waste, or indirectly through the consumption of contaminated food or water. When e-waste is dumped in landfills, these toxic chemicals can seep into the groundwater. This can contaminate drinking water sources and pose serious health risks to communities living near these sites. The burning of e-waste, a common practice in some developing countries, releases toxic fumes into the air, further polluting the environment and endangering human health. The improper handling and disposal of e-waste not only pose immediate risks, but also create a legacy of contamination that can last for generations. A significant portion of the world's e-waste ends up in developing countries in Asia. These countries often lack the infrastructure and regulations to properly manage this hazardous waste. As a result, e-waste is often dumped illegally, posing significant risks to human health and the environment. One such example is the town of Guiyu in China, once considered the largest e-waste dump site in the world. For years, Guiyu received massive amounts of e-waste from developed countries. Workers, including children, would dismantle electronics with their bare hands, exposing themselves to dangerous toxins. The environmental and health consequences in Guiyu were devastating. The air, water, and soil were heavily contaminated with lead, mercury, and other toxins. Rates of cancer, respiratory illnesses, and birth defects were alarmingly high. While efforts have been made to clean up Guiyu and other e-waste hotspots, the problem persists in other parts of Asia and other developing regions. The global trade in e-waste continues to exploit vulnerable communities and leave behind a trail of toxic pollution. The human cost of e-waste is immense. Workers in informal recycling sectors, often in developing countries, face the most direct and severe consequences. These workers, including children, often dismantle electronics by hand, exposing themselves to dangerous toxins. Exposure to these toxins can lead to a range of health problems. Respiratory issues like asthma, bronchitis, and other respiratory problems from inhaling toxic fumes, neurological disorders, including developmental problems, learning disabilities, and other neurological issues from exposure to heavy metals. And of course, there's an increased risk of developing various types of cancer due to prolonged exposure to carcinogens. The health impacts of e-waste are not limited to workers in the informal recycling sector. Communities living near e-waste dump sites also face significant risks from contaminated water, air, and soil. Environmental degradation, a toxic legacy. The improper disposal of e-waste has severe consequences for the environment. Toxic chemicals from discarded electronics contaminate our soil, water, and air. Soil contamination. Heavy metals from e-waste leach into the ground, poisoning the soil and making it unsuitable for agriculture. Water pollution. Toxins from e-waste contaminate rivers, lakes, and groundwater, harming aquatic life and endangering drinking water sources. Air pollution. The burning of e-waste releases harmful pollutants into the air, contributing to respiratory problems and other health issues. The environmental damage caused by e-waste is not easily reversed. Once these toxins enter the environment, they can persist for decades, contaminating ecosystems and posing long-term risks to human health and wildlife. It is essential that we recognize the environmental toll of our electronic consumption and take steps to mitigate these harmful effects. Global responsibility, the need for ethical solutions. The e-waste crisis is a global problem that requires global solutions. Developed countries, which generate the majority of the world's e-waste, have a responsibility to address this issue ethically and sustainably. Exporting e-waste to developing countries is not a solution. It simply shifts the burden of this hazardous waste to countries ill-equipped to handle it, exploiting vulnerable populations and causing irreparable harm to the environment. We need to move away from a linear take, make, dispose model of consumption. Instead, we need to embrace a circular economy that prioritizes reduced consumption, consuming electronics more mindfully, and extending the lifespan of our devices. Product stewardship, holding manufacturers accountable for the entire life cycle of their products, including end-of-life management. Responsible recycling, investing in safe and ethical recycling practices to recover valuable materials from e-waste. Reducing our footprint, simple steps for a sustainable future. While the e-waste crisis may seem daunting, there are simple steps we can all take to make a difference. By making conscious choices and adopting responsible habits, we can reduce our electronic footprint and contribute to a more sustainable future. Buy less, buy better. Avoid impulse purchases and invest in high-quality, durable electronics that will last longer. Repair and reuse. Extend the lifespan of your devices by repairing them when possible and exploring options for reselling or donating old electronics. Recycle responsibly. Dispose of e-waste properly through certified e-waste recyclers or take-back programs. Spread awareness. Educate yourself and others about the e-waste problem and advocate for responsible e-waste management practices in your community. By making small changes in our daily lives, we can collectively have a significant impact on the e-waste crisis. A hopeful horizon towards a world without e-waste. The e-waste crisis is a complex challenge, but it is not insurmountable. By acknowledging the problem, understanding its consequences, and taking collective action, we can pave the way towards a more sustainable future. The transition to a circular economy, where resources are used responsibly and waste is minimized, offers a hopeful horizon. By embracing innovation, promoting responsible consumption, and investing in sustainable technologies, we can create a world where electronics are no longer discarded, but are instead seen as valuable resources. The journey towards a world without e-waste requires a
Want to rise to your full potential in your studies and revise like a boss? You can trust Study Guide today to have you covered. Subscribe to this channel and see our website linked in the description of this video to see revision articles to maximize your study gains.